Hello, my friends. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about other parts of me that I don't show on the internet. I've realized that I've pretty much shared nothing about my life aside from ravs and handpans and all of the time I've spent on this platform. But I want to start doing maybe weekly videos just talking about some things I've been thinking about or things I've been doing, just to share that with you so we can get to know each other a little bit better. I do a heck of a lot more in my existence than play the handpan and rav, so it'd be great to share that with you guys. So hello. Nice to see you out of the context of the rav or handpan. One of the reasons I started this channel was to share information about foraging and herbalism and just sort of outdoor activities that I enjoyed doing. And I really neglected that part of that. So something I'm thinking in the future is I would like to incorporate more of that, maybe pick a day to make myself do it, to post things that have to do with foraging or herbalism. And it's, maybe these videos are not going to get as much traction, maybe it's going to hurt the channel slightly, but I think eventually it's going to draw in a different crowd of people too. Because, it's difficult for me on social media to represent myself because I initially entered it not wanting to share anything about myself except one aspect. And as this process of unscrewing myself from all of these weird standards I created for myself happens, I'd like to make that one of those things, being more open and sharing things with people, even in a public venue like this, because I feel like sort of the personal connection with people for me has been lacking in the last 3 or 4 years. So yeah, hi, I like foraging and I take care of animals. I have lots of animals on the farm that I rent a portion of. I don't own the farm that I live on, but I have an opportunity to rent a space here and it's beautiful and I absolutely love it. I feel very passionately about the power of plants to both redirect our reality and to guide us towards something that's a little bit more viable long term. I like to avoid the sort of sustainable terms or organic or raw, all of these things. I very much try to live by choice. And everything's a choice, as we all know. But I really like the concept that Terence got from an experience with the mushroom. Terence McKenna, being Terence. The mushroom told him, if you don't have a plan, you become part of somebody else's plan. And I really feel like this is true for most people. If you are just kind of floating through reality, and there's value to this for periods of time, but not as a full-scale existence. You don't have direction or you don't have some sort of a plan, you really don't get anywhere. And I think that's one of the issues in the New Age community or things like The Secret. Believing you want something or simply just wanting something and attracting it to you, that happens not just because there's a metaphysical component to that, but through your own volition and your own actions, that plays out. So I had wanted to create a reality where I was teaching music, where I was, working with instrument makers from around the world, and I created it. And it wasn't because I initially was a great player or any different than anybody else. It's just that I spent a lot of time doing it and I became skilled at sharing using my backgrounds. And yeah, it happened. So it's doable in all capacities, and I still maintain that. I kind of approach life with the mindset that I believe I can do anything, but I don't always think I'm going to do it well the first time. The first time I carved something, obviously it didn't look great, but the more you attempt something, the more you learn what skills you have innately and what skills that have a deficit that you can develop further if you're interested in doing so. So it's important, I think, for me to approach life believing that I can do whatever I want, trying it, and then working from there. So that's how this channel came to be as well. Other thoughts for you. In the last 2 years, I think I've probably been playing more gigs on the handpan and Rav than most people in the US have been playing. I'm not saying that in a bragging way, but I have some insight now into what works and what doesn't in a performance situation, in loud places and in quiet places. So I will be doing videos that have to do with what's the best setup for a live scenario when it's going to be loud and you're not the focus of attention, and what's the best setup for places where it's a little quieter and you have the space and the minutiae of what you're doing and performing is audible. In loud settings, it doesn't really matter what you use, to be honest, as long as you're amplified, because you're not going to be able to hear the small motions that you're making on the handpan. You lose some of that, and same with busking too. Buskers are not people that are worried typically about the minutiae of striking or the minutiae of what they're expressing. They're kind of thinking on a sort of a holistic viewpoint. How is this going to be perceived as a whole? And how is it going to be perceived in a broader sense than like, how clean is my roll, or how clean is this strike? So I have some videos coming up talking about that too. Other thing is too, I'm somebody that very much is affected by the seasons. So I've kind of slacked posting on here because I felt like it's been a bit dead. And maybe that's the impetus for doing this too. But I find that I am often having a hard time in the winters staying sort of connected to my activities. I still continue to do all the same things, but I find I'm not as motivated to do new things then. So I feel like I'm coming out of that winter cycle that I usually have every year. Other thing I wanted to mention to you too, I'm planning on a cross-country journey this summer. So if people are interested in hosting house concerts, I would love to do that where you're at. I know a lot of yoga and meditation connections across the US, so it'd be fun to work with you or work with someone that you have a connection with at their studio or their space. So keep that in mind as we're moving closer towards summer. Next big thing is I'm going to be at Pantasia next week, and that should be an interesting experience because I haven't spent a lot of time with that end of the handpan community, and I'm interested in hanging out with them and meeting them, but I contextually don't have much of a connection to them, so it should be an interesting experience. I've spent a lot of time developing sort of my own end of the handpan world and the Rav world, but it'll be good to intertwine those two groups together. But yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit about my life and who I am, and I'd never really talked about any of that. So if you guys have questions of me, maybe I'll do a question and answer video sometime for you. And also if you have any video ideas that you'd like to see, just free educational content, I'm happy to do that. But I'm gonna make an active effort to share more of my life and sort of the things that I do around here. So thank you guys for listening and hanging out. I hope to get to know you guys a little bit better in the coming months, and let me give you a view of what it looks like around me. This is what I'm looking out at right now. Super beautiful. I have a field of now flowering, but in seed, wintercress down there. So many more foraging videos to come, and yeah, love you guys, appreciate you, thank you for always being supportive. I have like the coolest community on here, so appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.